Okay. I'm happy that it became good because legitimately no way I was gonna fix it. So first of all, welcome to Afrokon if you're just getting here. This is Cosplaying While Black. I am your moderator. I like to say host, Player 5 from the AfrOtakus podcast, and I'm here with some wonderful cosplayers who also happen to be people of color, who are going to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit of something about yourselves when you go. I think we'll go ahead and start with Knightmage. Sorry to put you out there without any warning, but
nah, that's cool. Hey guys, Knightmage or Michael Wilson or whatever you want to call me. Sorry. I've been cosplaying since 2012, and it's really just become my passion. So I started cosplaying because of the charity aspect. Then I discovered conventions, and so now it's 50% about being able to give back through cosplay, and then 50% about the art of it. Yeah, man, that's me.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate you being here. Wonderful to have you. Let's go with Akakioga. And go ahead, correct me if I'm completely wrong.
No, you were spot on. You did it. So I am Akakioga cosplay. I've been doing this for way too long, but I'm still here. I dabble in basically everything, whether it be armor work, sewing, I'm the whole works. I love making costumes from scratch. That's kind of like my niche. And basically, I just love being here because I love just making things. That's kind of how I got started. And so I'm happy to be here, and I hope we have a good time today.
Oh, wonderful. Super nice. Since we got people in the chat, I got to go to you next. Black Ace, apparently the kid. Let us know.
Okay, guys, I'm Black Ace. I started cosplaying originally in 2014 when I went to NYC Comic Con. I did Dudley, and that was pretty much the end of it because that was my graduation year of high school. Went to college for 2 years, went into debt, the American dream, joined the Air Force. They shipped me to England. I paid off my debt, and I was like, well, debt free, time to start cosplaying again. And I've been cosplaying ever since in 2017 and onward, using the Air Force a dime. I have not been to the States in a convention in a while, so I have not met many of you guys before, but I have to say you have a lot of fans in the UK that are happy to meet you.
Awesome. We got Kueen Kerosene. If you were just here, you already know who this is, but please tell us some more.
All right, I'm Kueen Kerosene. I know you guys just had a lot of me in the last discussion. I'm sorry if I annoyed anyone. I hope not. It's friendly. But I've been cosplaying for about 6 years. My first cosplay was Bumblebee at my second convention, and it changed my whole view on conventions since then. It like upped the amount of fun you can have at a con. So I just do it for fun. I love it. I love dress up. I love body paint. You'll see that a lot of my stuff is body paint, or I make it on my own. I just have a lot of fun with it. So just happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. And can we get something from Wangsabibop? Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's actually the closest anyone's ever pronounced that off of first seeing it.
Okay.
So, yeah, my name's Wangsabibop. I'm a cosplayer. I've been knowingly cosplaying for I would say like 3 or 4 years. Before that, I did a lot of dress up things, but I didn't know what cosplay was. I venture more into concept cosplay, which I'm actually doing a panel on tomorrow. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. I prefer more anime cosplays than just animation, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. And then we have Samurai Mar. Will you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Samurai Mar. I'm also known as Amina Aiko. First of all, can anyone hear me okay? Sorry.
Wonderful. You coming in?
Okay. I started cosplaying very recently. I started cosplaying last year summer when COVID happened. For the first time since I was 15, I stopped working, so I had a lot of free time that I wasn't used to. And I've always been a fan of anime since I was young. Everyone always asks me like, when did you start watching anime? And I'm like, since I was born. Like I grew up with 3 brothers, and they were the ones who put me onto anime. And ever since then, I've just always been a fan. So I branched out to cosplay and anime. I've cosplayed other like cartoons, and not only anime, but anime is definitely my favorite to cosplay. And I've met so many dope people and cool friends along the line. It's just been a few months, almost reaching a year now. And I'm just, ooh, sorry. Ooh, hello, everyone. I was just getting ready to cosplay. I didn't finish yet anything. But yes, I can't wait to meet you all as well.
Oh, thanks for showing up. Thanks for showing up. And lastly, I believe we got Abraham. Or maybe we don't. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward. Real quick, so something we do on the AfrOtaku podcast is we regularly do this thing called story time. And for those that don't know, if you missed earlier or you just coming in, maybe you don't know about us, story time is exactly what it sounds like. You tell a little story. Today, I wanted a story time of either your most positive or most negative, or even both, experience while cosplaying, just so that people can kind of get an idea of what's going on. We'll keep them pretty light, under 5 minutes, quick little story, something like that. Would anybody like to go first?
I'll go first. Oh.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do my job in moderating. Black Ace, let's go.
All right. Okay, so I would say let's go with the positive. When I cosplayed Stain from My Hero Academia, and in London, the conventions are where it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday's the last day. And I was like, oh, my Stain costume's not the greatest. No one's gonna like it. So I taught on the Sunday, and I was gonna leave early that day, and I regretted it. Everyone was talking to me and everything. I meeting people I never thought I would meet. I got to meet 2 photographers that came all the way from the US to London just to take pictures, and they're like, we want you. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And there are people calling me Canon Stain and all that. I had kids walking up to me. It's like, I know Stain's a villain, but he's so cool. I'm like, they all loved that I used the Afro pick to make the costume like more black and more to myself. And then further on to that, during like last February, Funimation shared that picture out, and everyone loved the Stain. But during that February, I was deployed in the desert, so I couldn't respond or anything. All I just saw was all those comments and everything. I walked like it was midnight, and I was in my tent, and I ran out the tent silent, started screaming in the smoke pit. I was like, yeah, it was a hype moment for me in the desert.
Oh man, no, that sounds hype.
That made my day. I was literally in the middle of dirt, and people noticed me.
Oh, you could say your senpais noticed you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I don't fuck with that nigga Stain, but I fuck with you. I was just gonna throw that out there, but
I just like them, man.
Fair.
For negative experience, it was probably like the after parties at cons where you just see like people harassing women. I'm just like, you guys need to fucking stop. Literally, a random girl walks up to me and says, hey, I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend or something. Just get this guy away from me. Because I was already well known enough not to be that creep. Push the guy away. I hate that whole mentality. Is like, a girl dresses this way, so I want to act this way. No, she's dressed that way because she wants to be that. You don't have to do anything to just like pursue her. Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
They need to learn consent.
I'm gonna ask some people, or we're gonna get into that discussion maybe in a little more detail for sure. So what you got on your mind with that? Be ready to extrapolate that a little bit. All right. Anybody who's next? Or I gotta do my job again.
I was gonna say I could go.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Okay. My best experience and worst experience are all wrapped up into one and happened at the exact same time. I have a Cammy cosplay that's probably my most well-loved. I love wearing it. When I go out, I get seen. Cammy is one of those characters that like appeals to everybody because it's video games. Older people know it, younger people know it, weebs know it, people that don't consider themselves weebs. So I think it was 2019, I went to MomoCon, and MomoCon is like a real indoor-outdoor convention. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like the whole town kind of becomes the convention. Me and some friends were going to a nearby CVS, And we're in the CVS and people are stopping me like, oh my gosh, can I take pictures? Can I, like, somebody offered to buy the things that I got, whatever. It was just great reception. Was having a great time. As we're leaving, one of my other friends, a male friend that I was with, is like arguing with this guy. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you need to apologize to her, blah, 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 talking about me. And I'm like, what happened? Apparently there's this guy who was taking pictures of me like from behind without my permission. Very, very weird experience for me, especially when I was already stopping to talk to everybody, stopping to have pictures with a lot of people. It's like, I would have loved to take a picture with you, but this person just violated that completely. It's like taking pictures without my consent. Very strange, weird experience.
Absolutely, like one of the first things to ruin a cosplay. Creeps, man. Don't be one. Don't be one. So up next, Akakioga. You know, hey, I'm not Japanese. I gotta find out. Right.
Trust me, that name is a little older than it needs to be because I came up with it when I was 12 anyway. So let me see. Best cosplay experience. I could kind of split this up between two because I have a lot. So best. I would definitely say like this is a really short one and then I'll have a longer one. I actually got approached by Blizzard Entertainment a couple years back for my Orisa costume that I debuted at BlizzCon. I think it was like 2017 or something like that. So it's been a hot minute. They actually reached out to me, the cosplay coordinator of the like BlizzCon costume contest is like, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. Would you like to be included in the Blizzard cosplay tricks book that they're like that they're trying to like publish? And I would go, I'll go run and get it for like 2 seconds. Hold on. I have this thing right nearby for this exact reason. I gotta get back in my chair. I don't know if it'll focus in or not, but they put me on the back. Awesome. They put my Symmetra costume on the back of the book. So that was really cool. And they featured me inside as well. So that was like, oh my God, like Senpai noticed me because I am a big Blizzard fan. And then just in general, when I guest at conventions, I get a lot of like younger kids, especially who come up to me when I like have a booth and they're like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that like we had a Black cosplayer as a guest here at this con. And I thought I would never be able to cosplay, but seeing you like guesting at this convention, they're like, I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to cosplay because of you. And that like always just brings tears to my eyes because like I know what that feels like coming into cosplay and not seeing people who look like you, especially like back when I first started. And so just being able to be that motivation and confidence for like the newer generation coming in and saying like, hey, you can do it too. You don't have to look exactly like them to be that character. As long as you love that character, that's like all that should matter. And I guess like bad experience, I think in general is just like harassment in the cosplay community is the big one. The racism is definitely the biggest one. I've definitely been overlooked by photographers because they don't want a Black cosplayer in their portfolio. I've been taken out of groups because they're like, oh, you're the only Black cosplayer in this group. We don't want photos of you. You know, racist terms and things on the internet. But for the most part, like I have a genuinely good cosplay experience. And so I don't want to, you know, make it scary for anybody coming in saying like, oh, like this happens all the time. But it is something that we should always like take into consideration because it is really important to talk about for those people who do experience those things. And so I don't want to invalidate those experiences.
Okay, that was awesome. Appreciate you for sharing. Mage Knight, you want to hop on?
Yeah. All right. So the most positive experience. So actually I have two. So first one is I was doing a charity event. It was a anti-bullying event. I was dressed as Batman. It was for school, and it was probably about 250 kids. So I did the assembly. It was awesome. About 2 weeks after that, one of the teachers contacted me and said, "Hey, so you know, everyone's still talking about Batman. It was awesome, but in particular, there was one kid who just kept saying, 'Oh my God, Batman, Batman, Batman.'" Well, the school is a predominantly white school, and the one black kid in the assembly just kept saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe Batman looked like me." Like, that was the first time that it really hit me that how much representation really does matter, and how much influence as cosplayers we have. So that's the memory that will always stick out to me. The other positive experience is, so I was getting a presidential award from President Barack Obama. Well, at the time, I was getting a lot of different recognition for the charity work and stuff. So when I got contacted for that through letter, I didn't even really read it. I saw the date, and I had a charity event that day, so I didn't go. I went to the charity event. Well, that night I came home and saw on the news that it was actually President Barack Obama. So I totally blew off the president to go to this charity event, and I keep kicking myself in the butt for that. Like, who does that? But negative experiences. I have to honestly say, I don't think I've ever actually had a negative experience. Just to echo what was already said, like, you're always going to have like the racist comments and the trolls and stuff like that. That's just everyone is going to experience that. Everyone. But I can't actually say I've personally just had a totally negative experience that just like put me off to something and anything like that. Luckily.
Okay. Oh man, you turned down Obama, Knightmage? Like,
hey.
Yeah, we all got that thing. That thing we'll remember. That's interesting. Not Obama. Yeah, it is what it is. So Samurai Mar, you ready to give us your story time?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a story. One reason is because I've just started, and the second one is I've never been to a convention before. This would be my first unofficial convention, but I do have some positive and negatives that I've seen a lot, and it's on one platform I've seen it most, which is TikTok. When I started cosplaying, I started off Instagram, so I would post my pictures on Instagram, and it would be like my close friends that I have on Instagram. So it'd be a lot of positive feedback. But when I made a TikTok. I made my TikTok in January. I recently made it, and I posted my first cosplay video. I believe it was Hisoka. It was Hisoka doing the bungee gum, and it got so much negativity, but also positivity. And I've seen like some of my friends who wrote me on Instagram. They would hit me up and like, I want to cosplay too, but I don't have the confidence. I'm scared people are gonna say nasty stuff about me, this, that, and third. And I see the comments on TikTok constantly, and I'm always nice to everyone on TikTok. So I always respond very nicely. And I think the people who like comment the negative stuff, like I have some comments here, like one was like, apes can't, let me see if I can post. I don't know if you guys can see that. It says like, apes can't cosplay, Mary's not black. Like they would talk about like, how can you cosplay these characters when you're black? And I feel like, yeah, on TikTok, you see the most negativity, but you also see very positive people who are like, oh my God, you inspired me to start cosplaying. I never thought I could cosplay and be black. You know, I never thought I could wear this kind of wig or do this kind of makeup and actually get love for it. And I think that even though we shouldn't go expecting that there's going to be negative said, we should always expect the good things and positives, but we do have to realize like this is the reality of the situation and just push through and survive. Because saying you want to give up something that can make you happy, every time I put on a wig, and even though my cosplay is not done right now, I feel happy. This is like one of the most happiest times I've felt in my life. I'm sorry, I'm like so nervous, but I'm not gonna stop doing it just because someone tells me, oh, this character is not black, so why are you dressing up as her, or you got the color of the part wrong, or I'm not gonna stop. So I can't wait for all the negatives and the positives to come doing this.
That was an amazing story, and I'm so sorry you had to deal with that just 2 days ago. Is insane. But I appreciate your strength to keep through it. And you're doing fine. Don't be nervous. Last but most definitely not least, Kueen Kerosene, give us some tips.
Tips or a story?
Story. Don't listen.
Okay, just making sure. All right, I'll give a I guess quick two good ones. One, I did the island of Tafiti. Had my boyfriend as Maui. I thought it came out so bad. I wore this to SuperCon down here in Florida. I thought it came out so bad I didn't want to walk through the door. As soon as I walked through the door, it got so much love. Because to me, I was like, oh my God, I look like Mother Nature. No one's gonna know who I am. Only one person thought I was Mother Nature. A lot of people appreciated it and just wanted to take pictures with me. And it felt so nice because I put in a lot of work. I made everything by hand. That was like one of my first, everything from hand, makeshift, out of my closet. So second one would be just recently in February, I did over my Doc Ock from Spider-Verse. And I went to bed posting it just for the first day of 28 Days of Black cosplay, not expecting it to blow up, but it did. Went mini viral. Never expected that. There was 30,000 retweets, and one of them happened to be from one of the production designers of Spider-Verse. So that was amazing. One of my, I loved that so much. I really enjoyed Spider-Verse. In terms of bad, which I feel like is a lot of people's fear, those bad comments, when I first started to post online, because for me, cosplay was just like, we're dressing up to go to the convention. I didn't think to do it online. But when I started, I did an Aqualad from Young Justice, and it got 2 bad comments saying how trash it was, that my belt buckle it sucked, and that shut me down. Didn't want to post for months. Like I tried, my boyfriend had to be like, don't listen to them. You had so much fun. Everyone else loved it. But those 2 comments got me. So you really just gotta remember why you're doing it and how much you love it. Like I hate that I let those 2 comments really get to me. So
powerful stuff, man. Yeah, people get on the internet and get, as I like to call it, internet tough. Which is crazy because, you know, I've just seen nothing but positivity in the conventions themselves. But as soon as you get online, people go crazy. But, you know, first thing I want to say, well, first of all, thank y'all for y'all story times. They were awesome. But to the people watching, so we're about to get into a little questions, your typical panel type thing. If you should be able to use the question and answer, or even just the chat areas to ask any questions. If you have a question for a specific panelist, make sure you mention that, or I will only assume that that question is for everybody. I will try and get to everything. The more y'all engage, the funner things are. So ask these questions, people. Y'all got a wealth of knowledge up here clearly in front of you. Use it. That being said, I was going to start off with like a more negative one, but you know what? Y'all hit me right here in the heart. I'm going to go ahead and ask something that is a little less negative and a little more something I always ask. I think every cosplayer I run into, I ask this question. And I want the truth now. Don't be PC. Tell me the truth. As a member of the cosplay community, do you have more respect for made cosplay versus bought cosplay, and then also like original characters versus you know, non-original characters, I guess? Anybody want to start by answering this?
I'll start. For me, it's honestly, it's equal. Like whether you buy it or make it, your cosplay the same. It doesn't matter. The only thing I will say is you have to know, especially if you start to compete and you want to, get into that area, you have to kind of know what lane you're going to stay in. So a lot of times I'll see people wanting to compete and they get really upset because someone who made their costume won versus, person who didn't, whatever, you know what I mean? That's the only thing I'm going to say is you have to know exactly what it is you're kind of getting into. But on a personal level, my respect level is completely equal. It takes a lot of courage to dress up, regardless of what it is you're wearing.
Absolutely. Anybody else want to chime in here?
I'll take next.
Let's go, Black Ace.
So I see them as equals, but I feel like when you buy something, maybe you should come and learn from it. So this wig I got was from Gnome's Cosplay. Once I got that wig, guess what? I started learning how to make my own wigs because I asked, hey, how do you do this? Or when you buy a costume, put your twist on it. See if you can learn from it. It's like you buy a toy, you break it apart, put it back together. You can learn a lot from buying costumes. My first costume I bought was Static Shock. I took it apart, learned how to sew, boom. Prop making. I bought one prop on my entire time. I broke it apart, and now I make my own swords and my own weapons from League of Legends, Valorant, all that stuff. I feel like there is a lot to learn when it comes to buying your costumes. My coworkers, they ask how to get into cosplay. Do what I do. Just buy your first costume, learn from it. Buy your second costume, learn from it. You could learn a lot from just buying professional stuff at all time. You like there's nothing better than, oh, I could replicate this with my own hands just because I bought it, learn it. There's something else. They're equal in all forms. It takes a lot of like Knightmage says, it takes a lot of courage.
Okay, interesting. You know, I want to call on Samurai Mar mainly because you said you were new to cosplay. So I want to get your perspective as somebody, you know, new to the game. What are your thoughts?
As someone new, well, my very first cosplay I did was actually before last year. It was I believe 2019 or 2018, but it was the first and only time I ever did it in 2 years. It was Yumiko from Keikiguri. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But I was working at a retail store and I walked past a red blazer and I was like, this is a similar blazer to what the girls wear. So I literally bought the button-up shirt, the blazer. I put my own twist to it and I took the picture. I bought a black wig. No, I didn't buy a black wig for this. I own like a lot of wigs. So I used one of the wigs I had. And I posted it and I received a lot of positive feedback from my friends. And that's when I was like, that's when I feel like that's when the thoughts got into my head. Like, I can actually start doing this. For me as a new person, knowing that I could just piece together something rather than sewing or making something from scratch really helped calm all the anxiety I felt about actually cosplaying. Because I seen like a lot of cosplays back in the days and they were all very like, I wouldn't say extravagant, but you can tell like they really put their thought and hard work and time to this. And that was just something I didn't have to offer at the time. But definitely stepping up as a newcomer and just knowing that I could just piece together here and there. Like the belt that I'm wearing right now for the cosplay isn't even the actual belt. It's just a belt I got from a jacket that seemed to match. So just knowing I could like piece together things from my home or just buy it off Amazon really does help things out as a newcomer.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Let's hear from some other. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I kind of want to chime in.
There we go.
So the biggest thing I feel like being a cosplayer is knowing just kind of what you're interested in, just kind of as the start. So for instance, some people like to do armor, some people love to sew, some people like doing both like me because I'm crazy. But in general, like everyone started from somewhere. I don't think the very first person who cosplayed, because we didn't have Maiko costumes and like easy cosplay, probably had to make theirs from scratch. But that's okay because we have the resources now. And a lot of us didn't have that back in the day. So when you say, oh, I bought mine, I'm like, good, do that. Because like the accessibility is so important, especially for people who may not have the time, like Samurai said, who may not have the money, who may not have those resources to buy $300 worth of fabric to go spend 2 months making a costume that you're probably only going to wear once. I did that. But like, that's like a choice that you make, you know, like I choose to make mine because I love putting it on and knowing that like I did that, you know, I spent the time, I learned the techniques from buying costumes in the past, and I still buy costumes like to this day. We're in COVID times right now. Some of us don't have the motivation to want to go build a Monster Hunter costume like I did for Katsucon like a year or so ago. I'm not going to do that now, or at least I'm not going to feel as motivated. So buying costumes is completely okay. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. But like Knightmage said, if you're going to enter like a costume contest, it's just a whole different world. But if you're doing it for fun, just do it for fun because you love it. You know, like I have absolutely no problems with someone buying a costume versus someone making a costume. Because if you enjoy it, bottom line, if you enjoy it and you have fun, then That's all that should matter. Is cosplay is for fun, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't be like a, oh well, you didn't make your costume, so you're not a real cosplayer. Like that's BS, because we all started somewhere. I still buy mine. Like, get over yourself. It's fine. Get over it. They're not hurting you. Are they hurting you? Are they hurting you? I don't think so. So let them just do what they do because they love what they do, and just let people enjoy things.
All right, wonderfully put. So let's go Queen next. You want to give us a little something?
I'll give a little something. So I've done both. Most of my stuff I do make. I have a lot of closet cosplays, and I body paint a lot of them. So that's usually my niche with that stuff. But I see no problem in buying it. Like I wasn't gonna make Kikyo's priestess outfit. I don't have the skill. I don't. And I wanted to be Kikyo. So I bought it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also do have dreams of entering bigger competitions when cons come back. I know I do prefer the craftsmanship I see from some cosplayers. I do prefer to hear that you made it just because I want to know how to make things. So that's just where my interests lie. But I see no one as any less if you bought it or if you made it. It's cool if you have the skill, but not everyone has the time or the money to do all that stuff. So we're all cosplayers still.
Absolutely, well put. Lastly, but not least, Wangsabibop.
So I feel like when I look at someone else's cosplay, the idea doesn't even come to mind like, oh, did they make it or did they buy this? I just sort of enjoy the cosplay for what it is. And I think it all also comes down to comfortability level. And I think some people, especially when they're first starting out, are more comfortable buying something than to make it. I know when I first started out, I bought a lot of my stuff. I still buy a lot of my stuff. If it's coming down to my personal preference, I do, just like a lot of these people have said, I enjoy making it just because like when you're taking pictures at a convention, somebody's like, oh, where did you get this? Where did you? And I'm like, oh, I made this. Like you couldn't tell? Like that's so fun to me. I remember one of my favorite things I made the gauntlets for my Cami cosplay because I either couldn't find them anywhere or they were too expensive, So that was the first thing I really built upon. And I think it's fun, but also if you enjoy cosplaying, but you don't enjoy that process, maybe you don't enjoy making them, then don't stress yourself out and feel like you have to make them. And also a part of the question was about OCs. I don't think I'm creative enough to make an OC. Anytime I think of one, I'm like, this is really just me taking a mishmash of all the characters that I like and like kind of making it the same thing. And I feel like I have no confidence in it, but I love to see other people's OCs. I'm like, where did you even like pull that from in your mind to begin to think about that and then to make it from somewhere in your brain, just all visual? That's crazy to me, completely.
I forgot that part of the question. I appreciate original characters so much. I have my own, but I don't have the guts to bring them to life yet. But then I have to remember all the characters we cosplay was someone's idea at some point. So I just know that when people do post their ideas, I make sure I show love because it takes a lot of guts and it's a dream of theirs. And one day it might be the next big anime. We never know. So it's like, I want to show love from the start.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask a few people some questions from the chat. I'll go with Black Ace, Akakioga, and Knightmage. I want to ask you all, what were some of the hardest materials to work with? Give me a quick hardest material to work with and why. We can start with Black Ace.
Hardest material to work with for me was probably learning Warbula. When I was first using Warbula, I was doing it for my Endeavor cosplay to make the fire mask.
You're going to have to tell me what Warbula is. I'm lost.
Oh, Warbula is, I actually have no idea what it is. I just saw like Jessica Nigri recommended it one time, and then all my friends are like using it to make their Monster Hunter cosplays and stuff. I was like, this probably is easy. Slap it on the table. It feels like cardboard. It's like cardboard, but you can mold it with a heat gun, and then it comes out pretty solid. And it looks pretty good when you finish it with prime it with wood glue and paint and all that stuff. And I was like, this is different from EVA foam. It's much harder, yes, but it could come out much sturdier it could come out like much cleaner. Like I would say like one of the persons I follow to learn Warbula is Spicy Tie Designs. And I still mess with Warbula, but for miniature stuff now, not large scale props. For large scale props, I use foam. Hands down, it's so much easier. But Warbula is a different beast for me.
All right. I'm learning new words today. Akakioga, you want to go ahead and add most difficult material and why?
So it's funny because like Warbler is both my like most fun and also most difficult. Mainly just because like if you mess it up, you waste it like $20.
Yeah, 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 you got me there. Oh no,
Definitely like it's expensive.
Like it's one of those materials where if you can get a hold of it, like you better like use all of it. Like you can reuse, recycle Warbler as many times as you want, and you better because like a whole like an extra large sheet, I think it's like 60 by 20 or something like that, is like $90. It's crazy. And so I only use it like Black A said for like detailed stuff where I'm like, if I know that I need this to be like this certain shape and foam's not gonna cut it for me, it has to be Warbler. And so that's like a very special niche thing that I use. Like those are foam. Like foam is like $20. You can mess that up and you go buy some more and it's like no big deal. And I love using foam, but Warbler has like a special place in my heart, like a love-hate relationship for me. But sewing wise, anyway, I would say like vinyl for me
all
has
foam.
been like the worst.
Foam.
Is that all foam? Dude,
All foam.
foam is fucking baller. I love it. You could do anything with that stuff.
All the cuts, designs, all foam. It's super easy. I'll head upstairs and get my Warbula pop to do it.
Right now, I want to go get all my Warbler stuff. I'm just like, it's all downstairs.
Well, hey, if y'all need to make a quick trip, because up next, Knightmage, if you want to go ahead.
Most difficult material to work with. I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually going to go with body paint. And the only reason is because I do a lot of body painting and trying to get the right color on certain characters with your already dark pigment is pretty difficult sometimes. So yeah, actually I want to say that. I mean, it's probably my funnest thing to do. I love doing makeup, but some characters are pretty difficult.
Okay. I think you froze up a little bit. I'm hoping that was it and you didn't get cut.
I heard the froze.
Okay. Well, let me know if that wasn't it. Until then, Black Ace, you wanted to show us.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to show us some Warbula.
So Warbula, like this was for High Noon Lucian from League of Legends, and that's when he's like a demon. And it's like I wanted to get these spikes like deformed, corrupted, like that whole twisted look that you can't get with foam, and the whole sharp angle, but they're not sharp, but they're like more like they're sloppy, but like that detailed sloppy, that fine paint stroke kind of sloppy that artists usually get. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know, you make something look clean but sloppy at the same time. That's what Warbula can do. With foam, it's a little bit harder with that, but you can get that detail because Warbula hardens after it cools. It's like forging. As soon as it cools, it's hard, and you can't mess it up after that.
That is interesting. I'm learning a lot of new stuff. I'm sure our listeners are too. And more questions from the crowd I wanted to ask real quick, and I'll ask this to Kueen Kerosene, Samurai Mar, and Wangsabibop. So what does the budget look like for you guys? Let's say if you want to go balls to the wall, but you still got bills to pay. What is a budget looking like for you guys with your cosplay?
I want to answer that one too.
Okay, nice. Yeah, we will get Knightmage in that too. No problem. Let's start with Kueen though.
All right. Well, I'm a student. I'm a full-time grad student. Right. My tuition bill for loans looking pretty high. Don't make a lot of money, so I have a tight budget usually. If it's for a con, I'm trying to spend about $100. I try to use all the coupons I can. We might like reuse something from a past cosplay. Like I destroyed my Aquaman trident, which I regret because then I didn't end up using it for what I needed. But I try to reuse things for budget reasons. So for me, $100, maybe up to $300 for a con. I'm trying to do bigger costumes. So like I want to do a bunch of League of Legends characters. I know it's going to take a bit of EVA foam. So I got to up the budget some places. But otherwise, my body paint stuff, inexpensive. My maroon palettes, my Snazzaroos, I've done like 4 or 5 cosplay looks out of it. Like I've done Gamora 4 times from the same palette. And that was like $6. And then clothes from my closet. So I try to do it like that. $10 or less for looks like that, typically. But if it's a con for a whole day worth of wearing and competition, we gotta up it to the hundreds a little bit.
Oops, thought you could hear me. Okay. Appreciate it. Knightmage, you want to add in on that?
Yeah. So one big thing with me is budget. My budget is $250. If I can't make it, modify it, or anything like that for $250 or under, then I'm not gonna do it. However, I haven't found anything I can't do for $250 or less. So to date, I've done close to 270 costumes, and average it's probably anywhere between like 50 to 100. But yeah, 250 is my absolute max. So I really like to show people that, you know, cosplay can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. This all depends on what you want to do with it, you know. However, I will say you should always take into account of what this is going for too. So if you're making a costume again for a costume contest, or you're making it for a charity event, you know you're going to be wearing it a lot. Okay, you might want to maybe up your budget, source your materials a little bit more, and make from better materials, whatever. But if you're going to wear a costume for 6 hours and then throw it in your closet for months on end and not even think about it again, why are you going to pay that much money for a costume and put that many man hours into it? Why? To me, this just makes no sense. But again, it's always going to be up to you. But yeah, that's my budget.
And appreciate you. Also, you could have got that information if you were at his panel. Yeah, make sure y'all come to all these panels. Now, can I get something from Wangsabibop?
So I feel like my answer is really similar to everybody's. When I'm doing a con, well, when I'm doing a cosplay, I consider a couple of things. Like, is this something I'm just posting, or am I going to a convention? And also, if I'm buying the cosplay, I feel like, how do I say this? I think about the character and what the outfit is and how much I would be willing to put into it. Like something versus a Sailor Moon cosplay versus when I did my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I did Bruno. I went in knowing that like, if I'm going to buy this full pleather suit, I'm going to pay some money for it. I know that just because of the material, so I feel like I build up that way. Anything that I'm making, my budget is a little more lax because I'm normally pulling from items that I have in my house already, or I feel like that's a whole different build completely. So when I'm buying, definitely within that like 100 bracket. When I'm making something, my budget is way lower because I feel like it's a lot simpler. And I also do factor in how much do I like the character, you know, how many wears do I think I'm gonna get out of this? Like a character that I love, that I'm like, I'll put this on all the time, or I can change it some way with a concept, or there's just different ways I could present this. I'll pay a lot more money for it if I'm going to buy it or if I'm making it.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate the input. Lastly, I want to get to Samurai Mar. I think your perspective might be a little interesting. Tell us a little something.
Well, everyone here makes me sound so bad because I don't have a budget. I don't have a budget. I've spent like $600 on a blazer just for one cosplay alone.
Ball out if you got it.
I'm gonna say, girl, if you got it like that, go off.
I don't have much because I just okay. One, I'm just bad with money. I do have bills to pay, and I make sure my bills are paid. But after my bills are paid, I don't go outside, so I can spend all my money on cosplay. So all the rest of my money that's not spent on, rent and bills, it's just cosplay. So it's just I don't have a budget. Oh, you guys make me feel so.
No, I totally feel that. I don't really have one either, so you're good.
Oh my gosh. And it's just like I like different pieces. Like I've never actually bought like a cosplay that came like in an outfit. Like I've always like pieced together something else and then made it my own. So it's just like to do that, I like to like, I don't know, things are I don't give myself a budget.
Hey,
I should though. I feel like I should.
That's okay. Like you said, you gotta spend it. So wonderful questions from the from the audience. I'll hop back to some of those a little bit later, but
could I potentially tag on to that just really quick?
All right,
about her spending $600 on a blazer.
Go ahead, jump in there real quick.
When you spend enough money and you cosplay a lot, you tend to need to buy new things to build certain things. So I bought a resin printer. I bought a 3D printer just for cosplay. So she's not crazy because I got tired of having to go outsource my 3D prints. And so I decided, why not spend $500 and do it myself? So you're fine. It's okay. Like if you have the money and like this is something you love to do and you're like responsible, number one, if you could be responsible with it, do it, because if you're going to use it, that's what money is for. Get that stimmy, like just use, like I use my resin printer all the time now. Like I'm not even doing it just for costumes. I make Dungeons and Dragons dice now. I make figures for our D&D sessions. Like if you can get multiple uses out of it, I don't see why not.
Same. I got a 3D printer too and resin printer.
So
that's
clearly,
stimmy hit different.
Clearly, the budget is as high as it makes you happy to do.
Hey man, you got to get that serotonin somehow.
Exactly.
Just put that in my veins right quick.
Real quick, I'd like to ask y'all a question because the title of the panel is Cosplaying While Black, but we experience more things than just being a person of color. There are issues that we touched on before, like sexual harassment, even body positivity we talked about, and then included with racism. I wanted to ask you all, what information or tips can you give to the listeners on how to deal with that? Because we know that it happens, but as Queen had pointed out earlier, sometimes it can happen to you and it can shut you down, right? So what are maybe some tips or even anecdotes on how you may have dealt with either sexual harassment, body positivity, or racism? And let's start with, anybody want to choose to go first?
I was gonna go, actually.
There we go. Go ahead, get it out.
I think my biggest point with cosplay, especially sexual harassment and the racism somewhat too, is like when you first start cosplaying, I think you eventually find this core group of people that you can relate to. Even better if you can have a group when you go out to these conventions. I know that's helped me so much with just the safety, sexual harassment. I don't normally worry about those things because normally when I go to convention, I have a lot of cosplay friends. I'm with a lot of people. I'm floating in and out of groups and it just feels safer. And even just being a person that cosplays while Black, I don't feel so obscure, or granted, I also have a very different experience because I am so light. I have a very different experience and I want to put that out to everybody. I'm very aware of that. But I think having that core group, people to keep you grounded, people that are similar to you, kind of helps keep your head on straight and also help you just block out because they're not going to stop. And I feel like that's the unfair truth, is that these things are always, I don't want to say always, but they're going to happen. So I think having people that can surround you and consistently give you that love, that support, makes it easier to drown out that background noise of just hateful people. They're just hateful.
Wonderful. Anybody else got anything
I'll
on
go
their heart
next.
they want to get out? Go ahead, Black Ace.
So for the like confidence stuff and dealing with, like, say if you want to cosplay, you're Black, I understand that because I started cosplaying again when I went to England. I went to my first convention. How many Black cosplayers did I met at my first convention when I was only there for 3 months? I met 3. I could count them on my fingers because in the US, our population of Black people is around like 13 to 17% people are Black. England is 3%. So when I'm at that convention, I know I'm feeling that tokenism right there. And I made friends with each and every one of them. So you got to understand, you got to get that confidence and you will find people that are like-minded with you. I walked in the convention, saw one Black guy. We just looked at each other, give the old standard head nod, and we just bonded over that. It's that hidden code. But I understand it's hard to do that. And when you try to post online and you get those negative comments, I got plenty of that. But you got to understand, those guys aren't going to say it to your face. And if they are, they better be ready to throw hands. It's that simple. They are not that kind of people that could deal with their problems in reality, or they're sad and pathetic. They can't do what you can do when you're a cosplayer. You got to have that confidence. Cosplayers are built different, hands down.
I was gonna say I meant to say that. As far as racism, I really support putting hands on these people. Put hands on these people.
World War II, we punching Nazis, right?
Yeah,
we're punching racism there.
Hey, I gotta agree with you. Fans of the podcast will know option D is hands. You know, you get past all the niceness, the hand's still there on delivery.
It's called buy one, get one free.
Exactly. Anybody got anything to share? Because not everybody might be gifted with the hands. Anybody want to share anything else?
Just
I gifted with the hands, friends.
Oh yeah, I get your friends.
The power of friendship.
Queen, go ahead.
Well, like I said earlier, just remember why you did it and what you're doing it for. Like, I'm doing it for fun, so I shouldn't have let that get to me, but it did. But from now on, like, I'm definitely more confident. I don't let it get to me. But in terms of like the harassment, I guess just to put it out there, when you go into the DMs of somebody, anybody, like, just remember you don't know them. Saying certain things definitely has made it uncomfortable for me. I don't even know where, like, I don't want to make weird comments. So I'm just like I'm cosplaying here. Like, yeah, I'm aware I have big lips, but don't say certain things about my lips in the comments when it's a costume that's so innocent. Like, you should remember who, like, you don't know these people. It makes it uncomfortable. And it makes me very aware, like, when I do wear a costume that's like, maybe it shows more skin, like, certain DMs, I'm just like, okay, he's pointing out the poison ivy, which I already know is like, I'm showing skin and he's saying these things. And like, it makes me not want to talk to you. Like, let's start it friendly. Like, you don't know me. So when you do approach people, remember you don't know them. We're regular people. It comes off creepy. I've gotten a lot of creepy DMs and I try to respond to everyone. So it's just a matter of being respectful, especially as a girl going to these cons. It's already stressful enough because some guys grab you a little too much with the pictures. Like, and I'm gonna think that you're the same person when you come into my DMs. Like, I'm not gonna want to meet you at the con. Not the way you're talking to me. So
I like to throw in one tip, guys. Hover hand is never wrong. Hover hand is never wrong. You can always hover hand in the picture. Hover hand is never wrong. You don't need to touch the woman at all.
This is a real quick note I just want to add in. So I think one reason why we all feel comfortable in the cosplay community and conventions is because it's a very social hobby, but full of socially awkward people. And we kind of get one another. So you have to always take that into account. A lot of actions and a lot of comments and stuff are done on mistake, honestly. So you approach it with that. You should always approach it with a mentality of teaching. And if it comes to a point where obviously they did know better, they honestly just didn't care or whatever, that's a different story. But always look at something as a teaching moment, because honestly, the person might not know. The person might have some other underlying stuff going on. So yeah, just be patient.
no, that's a really good point. I have educated once or twice. I'm shy myself to do it, but like, I realized some people, they were very innocent So I try to be patient, but the guys who are outright
Yeah.
nasty,
Oh yeah.
I
That's
can't give you
totally
another chance.
different. Yeah.
We have anyone else that would like to put in an answer for this?
Yeah, I could chime in for a second. So, in terms of the racism now, I feed off of it. So, especially on TikTok where you say like, "Oh, this character isn't black." Do you know how many views I can get from reacting to that and not caring? But obviously, like I've been cosplaying for like so long now that like I don't care at this point. But when I first started, Korra from Legend of Korra was like one of my big costumes that I did like years ago. And that was actually the costume that I almost stopped using because people kept telling me, "Oh, I was too dark for Korra," or "You're not dark enough for Korra," or "Korra isn't black. Why are you doing it anyway?" Yada, 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 yada. But that was like the first costume that I actually had like made and like really took a lot of pride in. And so I almost quit until my friends were like, "No, what are you doing? Like, you're gorgeous. Keep going. Like, we see you're going to be able to do so many awesome things. Don't let them stop you." And so, yeah, having a great support system is honestly the reason why I'm still here, is the people that I surrounded myself by that encourage me and tell me, like, "Hey, you're still doing amazing. Like, keep doing what you're doing because you're showing other people that they can do it too." Even if it's behind the scenes and they don't say anything, just you being a presence in the community means a lot to people, even if they don't say anything. And so that's kind of something that I've taken to heart. In terms of harassment, I have definitely been hugged and touched and hugged a little too long by guys at conventions. And I'm just happy to have a friend group with me to basically tell them like, "No, what are you doing?" Because I'm definitely more of a mama bear online where I will fight you online, but in person I'm a very small girl, you know, so I tend to try and not get into like actual altercations. So that's why like I try and at least keep myself surrounded by people who will. And not to say that I'm always looking for a fight at a con, but you can never be too sure. So when you're at conventions, try not to be alone, especially if you're a woman. Like, that's really important. Like, I don't want, you know, men thinking that they could take advantage of you, even if they shouldn't, because cosplay is not consent. Cosplay is not consent. I will scream that to the hilltops and until the day I die, like, because that is so important. Like, just because you're wearing a costume does not mean a man can put his hands on you. And if I do see it, as if it happens to someone else, I'll fight them for you. But if it happens to me, I get scared. So like it's such a two-way street, you know, where it's easy for us to kind of do the like fight or flight mode for somebody else, but when it comes to like it happening to you, you kind of freeze, you know, like you really don't know what to do in that moment for some people, especially myself. And so yeah, just make sure you have a safe group that you're with, cosplaying or not, that they can look out for you and make sure that you're, you know, safe at the con, because cosplaying is fun, but you want to be safe. And being safe is actually even more important than cosplaying because, you know, safety is number one, cosplaying number two.
Wonderfully put. Wonderfully put. If anybody got any last little tidbits to add on to that before we move forward? All right. So I wanted to ask a few more questions from the crowd at this point. And so I want to ask this firstly to Samurai Mar, and then I'll ask a few other people who feel like chiming in. A few people have asked, like, how do you keep the cosplay train moving in a pandemic, right? Like, we all have things, our lives had to change significantly over the pandemic. What are some things you do to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself building, or even cosplaying in a time like this? And I'll start with Samurai Mar. What do you
I actually really enjoy cosplaying online only because I fell in love with editing. I never used to know how to edit pictures. Like, I would do like simple, you know, Facetune edits, but I've been putting like effects, fire, whatever superpowers like the character may have, I've been putting it. And I'm sorry, I'm staring at the pictures right now and I just love it so much. Like, I've spent 7 hours editing a picture and it was all like edits. It was just fire around the whole picture. Or my Rock Lee picture where he was in his transformation and it was the green and then the rocks, and I just love doing that. And before, my cosplays from last year were all plain, like, you know, there were no edits, but I definitely, as time progressed, editing has been one of my strong points in doing my cosplays online.
Thanks. Anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah. I guess for me, it's just I just always love creating. So honestly, nothing's actually changed for me, except for I have more time to do it. So pre-COVID, I was doing conventions like 2 to 3 conventions a month, plus full-time job, plus trying to find time to create. Now it's just literally just full-time job and creating. I just love doing it. Like even if it's like with makeup, even if it's a costume that I have no plans to cosplay as, I'm just gonna do a quick makeup just to keep the practice going, or I'm just gonna make a cool prop just to keep the practice going. But yeah, just for me, I just love the process of creating. I don't create a costume for a convention. I just love creating.
Awesome. So next time we see you at a convention, we're expecting a whole lot of new things then, huh?
I mean, I did 40 costumes last year, and I'm up to I think 11, like 10 or 11, 10 to 12 already this year.
You don't know, Knightmage the GOAT. He be posting every day something new.
Yeah.
Knightmage did is a thing.
Y'all didn't see my face. I was like, 40.
Knightmage did
Shocked
it.
Pikachu face. It just
That's amazing.
But I'll go on next with that question. So I'm in the Air Force. I go to my next base. I have to ship out all my stuff like months in advance. So I left England January 16th. I shipped my stuff out December 16th. I am now without a home or place to work for a few weeks because I have none of my stuff. All my stuff gets here February 16th. So I was 3 months without my stuff. Guess what? All I was doing was building models on my laptop in the 3D modeling program, getting reference photos and everything, and getting ready to craft. It's like without my tools, as long as I have the internet, I'm still able to get that creativity flowing.
Awesome. Anybody else will get time for maybe one more person on this one if you'd like to.
I was actually Kueen Kerosene been wanting to talk.
Thank you.
Okay,
No, I was just gonna say, the time has been great for learning. Like I said, I'm gonna do a lot of EVA stuff, and like I'm really prepping myself to take the stage when cons are back, because I've always wanted to like actually be on the competition stage, be one of those big builds, and now I'm doing it. I'm trying to go big. So it's like this quarantine time has been great for like, I actually have the time. I don't get to go on campus all the time anymore, so I can like go to class and then get an extra stitch in, get the EVA foam in. So that's been great. And then TikTok has been inspirational. I got shy with the videos, but TikTok has like been like, it's so fun that I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna get on TikTok, and people do so much fun things with it. Like there's that side of cosplaying where you actually get to go into character. I feel like TikTok has made that like just way more fun. So that's been inspirational, this whole COVID scene.
Okay, appreciate it. It seems like the online presence has been helpful for a lot of people. But speaking of online presences and the communities they build, I wanted to ask some of you, and in fact, I'll start with you, Queen, about specifically the Black or person of color cosplay community. What are some things, either A, that you would like to create in the community, well, not create, but change about the community to make it more inclusive towards Black cosplayers or cosplayers of color? Or what, and if you don't have anything that you can think of that you could improve in the community, what encouragement might you give to a brand new cosplayer of color that wanted to get into this hobby?
Well, from observation, especially like with 28 Days of Black Cosplay, I appreciate it so much when I see the big cosplayers not of color sharing stuff. Like, and some of them really don't do it just during February. They do it year long. But to highlight it during February means so much. Because like personally, my feed, because I've been met with some racism and some negativity, I realize I have a lot of people of color on my feed in general. And when you go out of the feed and you look up cosplay, it's typically not, it's not a Black filled hobby. So it's just like, I accidentally surrounded myself with so many people of color. It's because I'm most comfortable, but that's when I realized going out of there, it's because people aren't sharing us like that. So I just wish, I guess, people were just open to sharing everybody, because a lot of people are still in this headspace where it's like, Hinata's white, like they can't let that go for some reason. So there's things like that. So just other outside of the race, just being open and sharing everybody's stuff, because like cosplay is not based on race. But for new people, find your support system where you're comfortable. Like for me, it's like, especially after that hate I got originally, if you're more comfortable realizing that, I mean, maybe you have to just surround yourself with people of color cosplayers for a bit, so you realize who is really like on your side and supporting you. Maybe that's what you have to do, or find the Discord channels and just go into the general Discord chats. Because I mean, I don't know even the race of everyone in the Discord chats, but everyone is supportive in Discord chats that I've been in. I've never gotten any hate, and we see each other, and I haven't gotten the same bad feedback I've gotten online, weirdly enough. So I guess in those tight-knit communities like Discords or group chats, everyone's already in a good mind space to know we're supposed to be open and supportive. So find those specific groups if there is any hesitation, because they exist. It's just, I guess when you do become more popular and do it more often, the haters are gonna come. So
Wonderfully put. I'm going to ask on Wangsabibop next.
Yeah, I actually wanted to piggyback off of Queen. I think a lot of the times the smaller groups, like she said, the Discords, that kind of thing is easier to engage with, because even somebody, a lot of the audience might not know, I have a very small account. I still experience those interactions where you realize that these people see you as this internet persona and they don't think you're a real person. Like they do, but they don't. And I think that's why when you engage with somebody in a Discord, or like you said, we see each other, they realize you're talking to a real person. So what you say matters. The things that you have to say about somebody holds weight. This person has thoughts, feelings just like you. So I think it would make it a more inclusive space if everybody, like you said, remember that. Just remember, like, you were talking to a real person. And for newer cosplayers, I always tell people, start where you are. Like I think one of the issues I had when I first got into cosplay, and I still consider myself very new, is I felt like my cosplay wasn't real. Like, oh, I don't have real cosplays. Just start where you are and work to where you're trying to go. And the only other thing, as far as the general community, I also would like to say, especially for non-people of color, I can't stand when somebody says like, oh, she's cosplaying Black so-and-so. That's Black such and such. He's like, no. just say who they're cosplaying. They're just this cosplay. And it's such a almost a microaggression that people, like Knightmage said, that sometimes people really don't understand that that's inappropriate, or they don't understand the connotation behind it. So also, like he had said earlier, just be open to have that learning conversation, because sometimes people say things that are hateful and they don't know.
Thank you for that. Since you talked about Knightmage, I want to see what Knightmage has to say on it. Well, how can we change the community?
Well, changing the community, the only thing I can think of is to just continually be unapologetic about yourself and your cosplay, and just keep on throwing yourself out there and throwing that positive energy out there. You're never going to stop the negative from coming in. Never, ever, 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 ever. But you can kind of drown out that negative noise by overshadowing, with the positive. For every, negative comment, you're going to have 200 positives. And I know it was mentioned earlier, you're always going to kind of gravitate towards that one or two negative comments. It's just going to stick in your head. But you just got to realize that there's no helping those people. That's just the way it is. Yeah, find your support groups, and then also, again, just be proud of who you are and what you do, and just be unapologetic about it, and just keep throwing that out there.
Okay, I appreciate it. Let's go with Black Ace. What do you got to say about this?
Okay, I'm new. So when it comes to keeping that positivity to improve the community, it's yes, be unapologetic. I don't mean to piggyback, but it's keeping it more. Like there's so many groups that share cosplay colors. You got cosplay color, Black Cosplay Booster Club, Cosplay Your Way. And I could go on and on and on the list. And we're all united. That's good, but we gotta understand we gotta get people to go in on us, and we gotta let us know that we got allies that are white, we got allies that are Asian, we got allies that are even in the Middle East, we got allies that are everywhere, and they're with us too. I have never like met such a friendlier group while I was in the UK. It's like they were all just like, oh, you're Black, so what? Let's go, let's get in this. Nah, there's just a bunch of British people just being like, hey, let's go. I love that whole like cosplay community in the UK. It may be small, but I haven't like faced any like upfront racism. Only online. These people are all so welcoming.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I might have to hit up a UK con.
Avoid the food. American food's much better. Beans. The beans suck, man.
Okay, let's see. Can I get something from Akakioga?
You may, good sir. Honestly, just being in the cosplay community in general, for me, it's always just felt like a giant family. And like you can there's some family members that are kind of like the rotten eggs of the family, but in general, like the family is there to support you, to motivate you, to encourage you, and basically to help you try and be your best you. And that's kind of what I want to try and see the community continue to do, is to encourage the new cosplayers to do what they do. And even if it's a closet cosplay or a bot cosplay, I want to see more people uplifting that. And instead of hearing the whole bot cosplay versus made cosplay argument, I hate it. I'm tired of seeing it. I see it too much. It happens like at least 3 or 4 times every year, and it becomes this giant thing that doesn't need to exist. Honestly, like especially in like the Black cosplay community, for us it's difficult because since we are so small, we do feel like we're unheard, and then it feels like our voices aren't taken as seriously unless somebody of a bigger personality or bigger page says what we say, then it's taken seriously. And that's really sad. It's like I don't want us to feel like we're invisible when we are amazing, we are incredible, we are beautiful people, and we bring something to the table that somebody else can't. And I want us to continue to do what we do, because the world, I feel like now, especially in COVID times, because we only have the internet, I feel like it's given our community so much more of a space to be seen and to be heard and to be, taken seriously, but to also still be loved at the same time. Like I haven't felt more love during COVID than I have before COVID, simply because we're all going through it. We're literally all going through it right now, whether it's like, you can still build or whether you can't. And I'm just kind of just almost like reiterating like what everyone else said at this point, is just I just want to see people just love on each other more, because you never know what somebody else is going through, and what you say could either make or break that person depending on where they're at. And I think that's really important going forward, knowing that all we have to do is just sit there and encourage one another. It's so easy to say, oh my God, you're amazing, and just, that's so easy. It takes $0 and 0 cents to be a positive person. And so I just want to see the community to continue being positive, sticking up for cosplayers of color, and, just keep being awesome, because it's so easy to be awesome,
Wonderful, wonderful. And last but most definitely not least, Samurai Mar, what do you got to say on this situation? Although you're new to the community, what would you like to add to it?
I definitely agree with everyone who has spoken. And as being new to the community, I don't necessarily have like a cosplay group or even an anime group. I've loved anime since I've been young and I've always loved it by myself. Like I'm very friendly with everyone and I always talk to random people, but I don't necessarily have a group where it's like a support system, or when I get negative feedback online, people I go to rely on, because when I get that negative feedback, I just always, I'm someone, me personally, I'm speaking personally for myself. I'm someone who knows like these things aren't directly to me. I know that these don't define me. I know that and I feel like I only know that because I'm true to myself, which is what everyone has said here, is just to be true to yourself when you're cosplaying. That is honestly the key to everything, is just to be true to yourself as a individual. I would also say to have honest conversations with anyone you see who spreads hate, or like other cosplayers who show hate to people of color who are cosplayers. I remember on TikTok, someone had commented the same, this character isn't Black. And I'm someone personally who responds to every comment. Nice, mean, I respond to it all. I know some people would ignore comments, but I respond to them all. And I said, well, I'm Black, so what's the problem? I don't understand what's the issue. And they're like, oh, can I ask you a question? I'm like, sure. They're like, and this is, threads going back and forth. They're like, how would you feel if I cosplayed, I think it was from Hunter x Hunter, Canary. It was like, how would you feel if I put on an afro? They said this in the comments. I don't know what video it was, but you can find it if you look for it. But it was like, if I put on an afro, did a Black face, based on like the big lips, would that be okay? Like, how would you feel? And I broke down a history lesson for this person, because at that point, it's not about how I feel. It's about the history of the situation. It's about the history of my people. At this point, you're disrespecting the entire history. Like at this point, you're just stupid. You don't know history. So now I have to be a history teacher and like, teach you all these things. But that's just me. I always have to have an honest conversation. I don't look at this like, oh my God, this person, they just told me I can't cosplay this character because I'm not white, or I just always go for what I want to go for because I'm always true to myself. So I just, yeah.
All right. Hey, that was a wonderful anecdote. Appreciate you sharing it. And thank you for learning that dude up. We are almost out of time. So I want to use these last couple minutes for something that I think is very important. We got a lot of questions that we didn't get answered. A lot of people want to know more about y'all than what they'll get out of these few minutes. So we could just go back and just real quick tell people who you are, where they could find you. I think that'd be awesome for everybody to leave with that information. If anybody want to take it away.
I'll start. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Knightmage, or you can find me on Twitter at Knightmage, which I'm never on Twitter though. Instagram, Knightmage1, and I am very welcoming to messages. So yeah, if you got a problem, need some advice, or you just want to talk or anything, hit me up anytime. I'm there.
I was gonna say, I guess I'll go next. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Wangsabibop. You can also find me back here tomorrow at the same time, CST. I have a panel, but yeah, same thing. I answer my messages. I'm very active on Instagram and Twitter. Would love to talk to anybody.
For me, you guys see my name here, Kueen Kerosene. I'm Kueen Kerosene on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch. So you can find me on anything with this name.
I'll go next. Black Ace Cosplays on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My DMs are also open. I like to talk. I'm very nerdy and I like to debate on anime topics a lot, though I don't post them because my opinion should be kept to myself sometimes. But yeah, Black Ace Cosplay.
And then I guess I'll go next. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at all Akakioga. It's like spelled somewhere in this general vicinity corner. And then I'm going to actually start my Twitch back up hopefully soon. So I've been playing a lot of WoW, hopefully Monster Hunter Rise when it comes out. So if you love video games, holla at your girl because it's my jam.
I'm Samurai Mar on everything except Twitter. I'm Amina Aiko on Twitter. That's my writer's name. But yeah, everything, TikTok, Twitch, but I have not posted anything on Twitch. I can't wait to follow you all on Twitch and watch. So I'm a big watcher. But yeah, you can see all my cosplays on Instagram and TikTok, Samurai Mar.
All right, I think we got everybody. I appreciate you guys coming through. Just give a little clap in the chat for everybody. Let them know you appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, fans, for adding in the questions. You guys are wonderful. I learned a lot. Be looking out for any of their panels. Make sure you're there. And yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Later,
Thank
bud.
you.
Nice meeting you guys.
Later, girl.
Bye.
Had a great time.